I just saved a lot of money at the IRS. Oh, no. The IRS, the inventory reduction sale at Big Sur Waterbeds.
You'll be happy, too, when you see how we've cut prices on one-of-a-kind, selected floor model, and scratch and dent waterbeds and bedroom furniture. But hurry for best selection to our once-a-year IRS.
I really saved.
Big Sur Waterbeds, America's largest, 3715 Merle Hay Road at Douglas in Des Moines.
Renew a sparkling tradition with your family and friends this holiday season. Bring them to Des Moines for holiday delights. Hundreds of fabulous lighting displays throughout the metro area, from family homes to corporate headquarters. Everyone's in the holiday spirit. And Des Moines is a wonderland of shopping, fine dining, and entertainment possibilities, too. It's a sparkling tradition for your family. Des Moines Holiday Delights. For a complete list of lighting displays, calendar of events, and special hotel packages, call the Greater Des Moines Convention and Visitors Bureau.
You're watching WHO TV 13 Des Moines, your 24-hour news source.
Merry Christmas from News Center 13. We hope you're having a good day. The weather is certainly ideal. We don't have the white Christmas, but we do have very nice conditions for traveling. Upper Midwest will see clear skies throughout the day. Mostly sunny here in Des Moines, a high of 39 degrees, a southerly wind at 5 to 10 miles per hour. No snow, but still, as we said, pretty good traveling, and that's important this time of the year, of course. We hope you and your family are having a great day on this Christmas. We'll be back in 1 hour on your 24-hour news source.
News Special Report. Here is Andrea Mitchell.
Good afternoon. After almost 7 years, the Gorbachev era is over. The first and last president of what was the Soviet Union is just beginning what we are told will be a brief speech from his office in the Kremlin, a speech in which he is to announce his resignation.
On the following principles. They came out. I've always stood for the independence of people and their republics. But I've also stood for the integrity of the whole Soviet Union. But events have occurred in a different manner, and the disintegration of the country and the breakup of the state has occurred, and I cannot agree with this. After the meeting in Alma-Ata and the decisions that they took there, my position has not changed on this matter. I am convinced that a decision of this scale should have been taken on the basis of a national referendum. Nonetheless, I will do all that I can to ensure that the agreement that has been signed there will be implemented in life in our country and enable the country to move out of its position of crisis. So this is the last time I appear before you as President of the USSR. I regard it my duty to go over the path that we have traversed together since March 1985. All the more so as there have been many events, many contradictory events, some of them superficial, some of them most profound. When I became head of the state, it was already clear that there were troubles for the country. So the problems with gas and oil and other natural resources, we had at our disposal. We had a reservoir of human intellect, but we seemed to live worse than in other countries. And the reasons were obvious. The society was suffering from the bureaucratic command system, And they were serving an ideology and at the same time trying to take part in a terrible arms race. It was impossible. All attempts at partial reforms, and there were no few, were destined to fail. The country lost its way. We couldn't go on living like this. We needed cardinal, radical changes. That's why, more than once, I express regret that I didn't utilize my position as General Secretary of the Communist Party to make these changes. I think this was a mistake. To initiate reforms of such a scale in such a state as ours is the most difficult and most risky enterprise. But today, I'm convinced in the historical correctness of the path that we set out on in April 1985. The process of renovation of the country and the changes in society were much more difficult than we could have anticipated. However, that which we did do must be appraised properly. Society was freed. There were spiritual and political freedoms. And perhaps we haven't appreciated in full how important these new freedoms were. And perhaps we haven't learned how to utilize these freedoms properly. But the historical significance of these also perhaps we have not appreciated. And perhaps this has hindered us from our society from blossoming as it should have been. So the freedom of election, the freedom of the press, religious freedoms, and real power for the organs of local government and Republican government have all become realities. And there have been great changes in the economy of our country. Changes in the form of property ownership. And there has been a renaissance of the Russian peasantry, of the Soviet peasantry. And the land is now being handed over to the rural inhabitants and those of the towns. And these reforms were beginning to gather pace. And to turn the market, to turn the economy towards the market was a very, very difficult process, while bearing in mind the social defense of the citizen. We live in a new world. The Cold War has ended. The arms race has been halted. And the militarization of the country, which deformed our economy and our moral basis, is over. So the transitional period, everything that was done, as far as I can see, was done to reduce the risk of nuclear war. We have also changed Soviet foreign policy so that we do not interfere with other countries' affairs. And we became one of the foreposts of the New World Order based on democratic beginnings. And we are giving nations throughout the world the choice of their own choice of freedoms and the type of state that they want to live in. And we were hoping that that the changes would be crowned by the signing of a second union treaty in our country. But there was opposition from the old order, particularly from the state apparatus, the party apparatus, who were prejudiced, who were working in the old way. who couldn't change their psychology, and they could not react in time to our impatience to carry these reforms through. And this is why we lost so much time. The old system collapsed before we were able to build up the new one. And the crisis in society became more and more acute. I know that there is widespread dissatisfaction with the present situation and with the powers that be at all levels. And I know that there is great and widespread dissatisfaction with my activities. But it is a huge country with a massive population, and we cannot make such major transitions without problems. But the August events, of course, made the transitional periods, brought the transitional period into a crisis. And it concerns me, the losses that our people, the people have lost the citizenship of a great country. And I fear that the consequences may be very heavy for all. It is vitally important, it seems to me, to retain the democratic freedoms that we have won in recent years, to learn from our own tragic experience, and not allow any excuses, any situations to impede our march towards democracy. Otherwise, all our hopes will be buried. And I'm speaking frankly and honestly. It's my moral duty to do so. And I want to thank all those citizens who have supported the policy of renovation in our country and who helped the policy of democratic reforms. And I want to thank the millions of people abroad, those who understood our thinking, supported them, made compromises, and wanted genuine and sincere cooperation with us. I am leaving my post with the worries, but also with hope. I believe in the strength of your spirit and in your wisdom. We are all members of a great civilization. And I want all those who belong to this civilization to live a worthy and full life. And there were many people who stood shoulder to shoulder with me, fighting for a new and better life. And I hope that this will continue. And I know that the efforts that we have already invested will, sooner or later, bear fruit. And we will live in a democratic and free society. And I wish you all the very best.
Mikhail Gorbachev announcing his resignation just moments ago and acknowledging that it was a mistake not to press harder for economic reforms. Gorbachev called President Bush earlier today to inform him that he would be handing over control of the Soviet nuclear arsenal to the Russian Republic the second he resigned. So at this moment, some 30,000 nuclear weapons are officially under the control of Gorbachev's sometime rival, Boris Yeltsin. President Bush is returning early from his Christmas holiday at Camp David to speak from the White House tonight about the Gorbachev era. The United States is expected to formally recognize Russia tomorrow. We'll have more on these historic events on Nightly News. I'm Andrea Mitchell, NBC News, New York.
This has been an NBC News special report. We now rejoin the program already in progress.
We now join our regularly scheduled program already in progress.
My guests believe that they have shared time together in a previous life, some 125 years ago. And you say you're even skeptics. How can you be skeptics if you believe this happened to you?
All we know is what we saw and what we felt, but we don't have a name for it. We don't know what causes it, how it happens. We say reincarnation because somebody put that word to it a long time.